Hello. By way of introduction, my name is Dale Webb. I currently serve on the Journey Center Association Board, and I'm also affiliated with Journey Center Santa Rosa as a spiritual director. Today, I would like to share with you, it'd be my pleasure to share with you, a spiritual practice that has been near and dear to my heart for a number of years. And that practice is centering prayer. In the wake of Vatican II, Father Thomas Keating and his seminarian colleagues began to look at the revisions of Vatican II and set out to find a way to share this wonderful, beautiful gift of contemplative prayer with everyone, to bring it out of the monasteries and the religious societies and make this prayer available to all of us. And so they looked at contemplative prayer through the years and thought about what they might bring to our present time, and what they brought was the method of centering prayer. Now, it's important to make some distinctions here. Centering prayer is not an end in itself. It's not a collection of words. I think of it more as a pathway, a way to help us be ready and waiting should God bless us with the wonderful and beautiful gift of contemplative prayer, where we draw very, very near to God. And centering prayer is a pathway to that. So it's important for us as we begin to have an understanding of Father Thomas Keating's understanding of contemplative prayer. And he would say this, let me put it up so that we can have it to hold or just a bit as I read it to you. Father Thomas said this about contemplative prayer. In the Christian tradition, contemplative prayer is considered to be the pure gift of God. It is the opening of mind and heart, our whole being, to God, the ultimate mystery, beyond thoughts, beyond words and emotions. Now, I invite us just to sit gently with that definition for a few moments and see what bubbles up. Contemplative prayer is a pure gift. There is nothing that we can do to earn it, to make it happen. It's just there in the blessing of God. It involves our whole being, mind, body, and spirit. And we take all of us and open that to God in contemplative prayer. And we let God do God's work there. God's divine presence within us is at work transforming our lives. When we are there and receptive and open, God is moving us along in ways that we won't even know. And what's our part in all of this? When we get to that place, all we have to say is yes. Yes to God's presence and action within us, transforming us to let it be. The method of centering prayer comes to us with guidelines that help us come to this place of openness and receptivity. So let's take a look at the guidelines and see what is there to help us. And I'll just roll these up on the screen so that we can see those guidelines and reflect on them together. First, I'd like to just go ahead and read through these pretty straightforwardly, and then perhaps come around and add some elaboration. We may even take an imaginary centering prayer sit for just a few minutes. But here are the guidelines. Guideline 1, choose a sacred word as the symbol of your intention to consent to God's presence and action within. And I do want to reiterate the symbolic nature of this sacred word. Whatever the sacred word might mean in the ordinary dictionary is set aside, and we fill it with this meaning: I consent to God's presence and action within. Sitting comfortably with eyes closed, we settle briefly and silently introduce this sacred word as the symbol of our consent to God's presence and action within us. We'll find in that silence that thoughts will be upon us. As much as we can, we receive them, notice them, and let them go, and then return to that quiet place. Every once in a while, one of our distractions will get a hold of us, and we start thinking about it, and we can't let go, and we find ourselves in the land of monkey brain, that some traditions describe. Our minds going all kinds of directions, and we've lost our quiet, we've lost our focus. When we notice that that's happening to us in the midst of this spiritual practice, that is not the point to say we've failed, or we need to try harder, or we need to banish all of our thoughts. That will not be helpful for us. But what will be helpful for us is to use this idea of a sacred word. When our thoughts have overcome us, when we are off in some mental discourse and have lost our quiet, and notice that, oh, let me return to my sacred word. And as you do that, you'll find that you will be able to let loose of that distraction that has a hold of you and come back to that place of quiet rest. So it's not that we get rid of thoughts and distractions, but more that we let them pass over us. And if we have difficulty with that, then we embrace this practice of turning gently toward the sacred word and focusing there so that we can let go. At the end of the prayer period, which is usually about 20 minutes, maybe sometimes longer, depending on the setting or the group that you might be with. At the end of the prayer period, remain in silence with eyes closed for a couple of minutes. That's just to say, as you engage this practice, you may find yourself feeling like you're in a faraway place when suddenly you come back to the point of returning. And so just take your time bringing your awareness to the reality that's around you in your prayer. Do it gently and easily. You have indeed perhaps been in a faraway place, even as you sit in the same place. Now, there's a few things that I'd like to do at this point. Maybe for a minute, we'll just consider ourselves to be in a centering prayer sit. And I'll kind of lead you through some of the things that might happen. So let's say I'm in a group of people, and we decide that we are going to have a centering prayer time together. Often the leader of the group will offer a brief prayer, a poem, something that sort of brings us from our everyday reality into the threshold of the quiet. Often the facilitator will sound a meditation bowl or a timing chime that will mark the beginning and end of the prayer period. And before that prayer period even begins, I might make inquiry of the Holy Spirit to sit in silence on my own for just a moment and let my sacred word bubble up. And so I sit here for a few minutes and I wait. And along the way, a sacred word may come. What comes from me today is the word surrender. And so now I'm ready for the prayer, and the facilitator sounds the bowl, and I follow the sound of that bowl right into the quiet. And when that quiet is reached, I gently introduce my sacred word, not aloud, but just by gently turning my attention toward it. Surrender. Sometimes I carry that word on my breath. I breathe in the spirit silently, and then on the out breath, I just let the breath carry the word surrender. I don't actually say it, I just kind of breathe it out. And I do that again and again until the distraction that comes up dissolves. I sit in the quiet. Suddenly, I'm aware that I'm paying attention to the ticking of the clock that's behind me. Rather than getting irritated or stop the clock or move away, simply turn my attention to my sacred word. Surrender. Surrender. I ever so gently keep my awareness directed toward that sacred word until suddenly my disturbance over the ticking clock is gone and I'm in the quiet again. I may find that the sacred word even falls away in the quiet. And that's just as it should be. You and the Holy One within, intimately close, in the quiet. At the end of the prayer time, I'll hear that bowl sounding again or the timer chiming. And I'll know that the prayer time has ended. But I come back slowly, very slowly, to the present time and the people around me in the room or the setting that I'm in, my current reality, so to speak. Be gentle with yourself coming back from the prayer. It can be quite jarring sometimes. So take your time. And then the idea might be to try to take that peacefulness that you found, that blessing of drawing near to God, to take that out into the world and let it shine through whatever it is that you're doing in some way. There are a few thoughts and things to remember about this method, this spiritual practice. First, there's no room for judgments or self-criticism. Often silence becomes kind of an issue itself. There are so many distractions, and we have distractions of our own mind, our own body, and we may become upset with ourselves, thinking, I can't do this, I can't sit still, I can't be quiet all that time. That's why we have the sacred word to help us bring us back to that quiet spot again and again, because probably we're just not going to be able to get rid of every thought. Now, some of them come and go quite easily. They're just some item that flows through your mind. But others get a hold of you and you start thinking about them, and you start thinking about them deeper and deeper and deeper, and you're going to resolve that. And all of a sudden you discover that you're not in that quiet place anymore. You become conscious of the fact that you are working a problem or doing some other activity mentally, and you're not opening to God at all. Well, rather than be angry about that or upset or consider yourself a failure, the method of centering prayer says simply return to that sacred word and rest in that. And so that's where if the distraction comes along, I bring in that word surrender and just keep gently focusing my attention there, and the distraction tends to go away. So that's part of the tool that's very important. And it feels like failure. One time a woman spoke with Father Keating about her experience of this prayer, and she says, I just can't sit still. I have just thousands of distractions. I just feel like I'm saying my sacred word over and over again, the whole prayer time. And he says, and Thomas said to her, oh, how wonderful. Remember that each time you say your sacred word, you're turning to God and saying yes. You said yes to God countless times in this prayer. God must be smiling. Do not let the distractions worry you. Simply follow the method. Return to your sacred word and return to the quiet when distractions come along. Sometimes people are looking for things to happen during the prayer time, some revelation, some vision, some clarity that they haven't had before. Well, I am here to share with you that usually, almost always during the prayer time, none of those things happen. But what is happening is the divine healer is working the miracle of transformation in you. And the fruit of that healing, that transformation, shows up in life beyond the prayer time. It is just woven into your life. One day you wake up and discover something is different, and you say, thank God, there it is. The fruit of transformation is showing up in life. Centering prayer can be done all on your own, and you can also do it in groups. Many people who practice centering prayer in groups experience a richer and deeper time, a supported time in feeling the work of the Spirit and movement of the Spirit. It seems to add another dimension. So if there's opportunity to join a group or to form a group yourself, I encourage that. Generally, a centering prayer session lasts for 20 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes, something like that. Seems like a long time at first, but it's really not so long. And sometimes it takes time to get to that quiet place within. And so we allow some time in this prayer for us to really settle in and be present with the Holy One. So in closing today, I really would like to invite you to embrace centering prayer for a season. And do give it some time. This is not a sprint. It is a marathon. And give God time to do the work. The Spirit of God blows where she wills. And in truth, I have no say in the matter and of the timing or the content. And all I can say to that at this point in life is thank goodness. Thank goodness. Let me be still. Let God do the work. So with trust and patience, just begin. And if for some reason you think you are failing, you are not. In fact, Father Thomas says the only way that you can fail in this prayer is if you get up and leave. So stay there, hang in there. Let the silence envelop you. And when distractions come, use that sacred word very gently to let them go.